Welcome into Sports Memo's betting podcast for UFC 246 right here in Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. Of course, Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. We got Matthew Holt, CEO of US Integrity, former COO of Cantor Gaming, former UFC oddsmaker himself. Matty Holt, welcome in. How you doing today, buddy?
Great, Drew. Awful excited to be on today and awful excited for a big fight week here in Vegas, and the crowds are going nuts. It's starting to feel that electricity as we get closer and closer to Saturday night at T-Mobile.
Absolutely. It's electric here. Matt coming to us from Las Vegas, as am I, not too far from T-Mobile Arena. So, Matt, let's not bury the lead here. We got Conor McGregor, 1,162 days on Saturday night since his last win in the UFC. However, he is minus 330 favorite against Cowboy Cerrone. 1.5 being the total in this fight. 7.5 minutes of fight time, either over or under on that. Matty, I'll throw it over to you, man. How are you looking to bet this fight?
You know, this is a fight that the UFC's looked to put together for a long time because stylistically it very much favors Conor McGregor, and Cowboy Cerrone has a huge following. In fact, the problem here with Conor McGregor is it's that, rust versus rest situation where he's only fought once in the last 3 years and he hasn't won a fight since October 2016. Donald Cowboy Cerrone has fought 11 times since the last time Conor McGregor won a fight, including 4 times in 2019. The problem now is at 36 years old and a slow starter with some chin issues, how much is left in the tank for Cowboy Cerrone, and is he tailor-made for Conor McGregor? And I think this is a tale of sort of a correlated parlay here. If you like Conor McGregor, one of the fastest starters in UFC history, then you should probably also have some money, maybe in a parlay or maybe separately, on the under 1.5 rounds minus 123. Because Conor tends to come out, score early knockdowns, utilize that power early, and Cowboy Cerrone tends to be very hittable early. On the flip side, once Cowboy Cerrone gets going, his punches get faster, he hits with power, he's going to have height and reach advantages in the fight. Thus, if you like Cowboy Cerrone in the fight to potentially pull the upset, you may want to parlay it with over 1.5 rounds because a slow starter who's probably going to take a little time to get going is probably, if Donald Cowboy Cerrone wins, it's probably going to be by third round stoppage over Conor McGregor. Conor also has a history of fading in fights. So to me, regardless of what side you like, if you like Conor, I think you have to like the under. If you like Cowboy, you probably also need to like the over. And with odds at minus 330 on the favorite, under 1.5 rounds may be a preferable way to bet Conor McGregor.
And Matty, a follow-up to that, would you recommend for guys out there looking to be betting on Conor McGregor to maybe find different ways? Yes, the correlated parlay, that could be a way to kind of shave down, I guess, on that minus 330 price tag. But what about like Conor McGregor by knockout, no matter when it happens? Would you recommend something like that?
Absolutely, but you're not going to get a big discount on price there. Cowboy Cerrone has made it known publicly he intends on standing and banging with Conor McGregor. That's why the UFC put Cowboy spot so he could stand and bang with Conor rather than wrestle him like Khabib Nurmagomedov did. So my gut feeling here is, yes, Conor's most likely to win by knockout. It's not very likely that this goes to decision necessarily, but there's very little value in Conor by submission. That's never going to happen, and the odds makers know it. So the normal discount you would get in pricing on a fighter to win by KO isn't always going to be as good here.
Gotcha, Matty. Okay, good stuff. And guys, we're going to be breaking down the full main event card here, starting 10 p.m. Eastern. This one on pay-per-view from T-Mobile Arena, UFC 246. We got Holm versus Pennington up next. But Matty, just anything else here on the Conor McGregor Donald Cerrone fight? Do you want to kind of go on record here with a pick that you're personally betting?
I actually think that Donald Cowboy Cerrone may score a third round knockout in this fight. Everybody knows Conor's a fast starter. I heard that Cowboy actually plans on doing much more pad work than he does in the back than normal to make sure that he's ready, that he doesn't get off to that slow start. And I actually think Conor, how much of it is rust at this point? His striking did not look sharp in his last fight. I think if Cowboy survives the first round, McGregor can start to lose confidence, as we saw in the Nate Diaz fight, as we saw in the Nurmagomedov fight. And B, Cowboy Cerrone really starts to gear up in those second and third rounds. I think Conor looks good early, scores a knockdown in the first round. Cowboy survives, starts to turn the tide late in the second, hits him with a head kick in the third round, and the Irish train gets derailed, and the big underdog Cowboy Cerrone scores a knockout victory.
All right, Matty Holt liking the underdog here, Cowboy Cerrone, maybe third round knockout. We got Holm versus Pennington, Raquel Pennington, as the I guess co-main event here. Looks like Holm minus 129 favorite, total of 2.5. Heavy juice towards the over in this one. You looking to get involved here with Holm versus Pennington, Matt?
So I did get involved early, and this is one of those situations, and it happens all the time in fighting where it depends on when you bet a fight, right? This line opened at Holm minus 180, but at Pinnacle now it's all the way down to minus 130 range. Why? These two fought in 2015, and it was a split decision. Since then, Raquel Pennington's only 2 losses are to the greatest women fighter of all time, Amanda Nunes, and her latest opponent, Germaine de Randamie. So she's only lost to the best in the world. On the other side of it, Holm is 38 years old, and 2 of her last 3 wins have come by knockout. But historically, she's not necessarily a knockout fighter. The problem with Holm at 38 years old is if she doesn't get the knockout, there's not enough volume there to win decisions. It's 1 strike at a time, 1 counter strike at a time. And while they might be powerful at 38, not quite enough volume, even at the plus 120 range instead of plus 150 or plus 160, I still think you have to side with the underdog here, Raquel Pennington, who's only been knocked out once in her entire career, and that was a 5th round knockout to reigning champion Amanda Nunes. No one else has knocked out Pennington. This is only a 3-round fight. I don't think there's going to be a knockout here, as indicative by the total over minus 600. I think Raquel Pennington wins a split decision as the underdog.
All right, liking Pennington in the second match. We got a third match up here. Oleinik versus Maurice. Greene. Looks like Greene minus 125 favorite here, Maddie. Throw it over to you. You interested in Oleinik versus Greene?
Look, I don't really like to lay chalk, and we've already had 2 underdogs here, but I'm going to lay a little bit of a price here. Under 1.5 rounds, minus 180. And here's the situation here. Aleksei Oleinik is 42 years old, has no chin at all, and has been knocked out in the first round of his last 2 fights. Maurice Greene doesn't have the wrestling or submission game pedigree to hang with Aleksei Oleinik on the ground. So to me, one of 2 things is going to happen in this fight, and it's going to happen very early. Either Aleksei Oleinik is going to get Maurice Greene on the ground and submit him early because Maurice Greene can't defend those submissions, or Maurice Greene is going to connect with one of those powerful right hands. He stands 6'7", Maurice Greene, and is a huge puncher, and he's going to connect, and just like what we've seen lately, Aleksei Oleinik is going to go to sleep. So while I don't want to lay $1.85 that this one doesn't make it halfway, that's what I'm laying in this fight, that this fight doesn't even make it halfway, and that it ends before 2.5 minutes into the second round.
He's Matty Holt. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP, CEO of US Integrity, doing big things in the betting world. Former odds maker, COO of Cantor Gaming, knows his UFC betting markets as good as anybody out there. Next fight up, Matty, we got Alexa Grasso versus Cláudia Gadelha. It looks like Gadelha minus 115 favorite, total of 2.5 in this one.
And I actually like Cláudia Gadelha here. I think that she's just a more well-rounded fighter. And this is a classic matchup of grappler versus striker. Alexa Grasso is a kickboxer. Cláudia Gadelha is a wrestler and Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. But at the end of the day, Cláudia Gadelha's relentless pressure, I think, will allow her to get takedowns early. She may not get a stoppage here. She's probably not going to get a submission, but I think she'll be able to control Alexa Grasso on the ground. And what we've seen from Alexa Grasso thus far in her young career, and she's still very young at only 26 years old, is she looks great against inferior competition, but every time she steps up and Carla Esparza, Ana Suarez, Elise Herrig, she ends up on the wrong side of decisions against women who are able to take her down and control her. Cláudia Gadelha is just that type of grappler here. I think I'm going to lay the $1.15 with Cláudia Gadelha, the former flyweight title challenger, to get the job done against the much more popular Aleksei Grasso.
All right, Maddie, we got one fight left here, guys. This is the Sports Memo Betting Podcast each and every day, Monday through Friday, doing a podcast, all things sports betting, NFL, college football, college basketball, MLB, NBA, all things in Vegas as well. So check us out at sportsmemo.com. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcast from, we're there under Sports Memo and on the YouTube channel. If you'd like to watch it simulcast, put a face with the voice that you're hearing, check it out, Sports Memo YouTube channel. We got last fight that we'll break down, then we'll open it up to kind of site-wide here. Anthony Pettis, Diego Ferreira, looks like, Matt, minus 240 favorite in this one. Total of 2.5, juice towards the over. Maddie, how you looking to bet this last fight on the main card?
Yeah, and Anthony Pettis in a situation here where, he's kind of, Anthony Pettis here is in one of those situations where he's certainly probably on the downside. But I think there's an opportunity here for the fight. Can you hear me, Drew?
Yeah, Maddie, we had a little bit of a breakup, but we can hear you pretty good, man. You go ahead breaking down this fight.
So Anthony Showtime Pettis, now at 32 years old, seems to be a win one, lose one type of fighter, not getting the respect from the betting markets that he once did. But what's interesting is his last few fights have come at 170 pounds, where he was able to stop Wonderboy Thompson. He turned around and lost to Nate Diaz. But what's really interesting about the Nate Diaz loss is that he suffered a cut. It's the most interesting situation I've ever seen. USADA, the testing agency, forced Anthony Pettis to take a drug test, pee in a cup right before the fight against Nate Diaz. And the testing agents aren't allowed to touch the cup. You have to screw on the cap yourself. There was a jagged edge in the cap, and Anthony Pettis actually severely cut his hand trying to screw on the cap of his urine test, basically 20 minutes before the Nate Diaz fight. And the problem with that was that cut required stitches, but obviously 20 minutes before a fight, you can't get stitches. So they were trying to use like nail glue and all these things to get it done in the back. And he said the cut was so bad, there was no possible way he was going to be able to grapple in the fight. And all he could really do was punch, and it took away one of his best weapons. What we have seen lately is Anthony Pettis is either finish or get finished kind of fighter. He's super aggressive. He's great on the ground. His submissions are amazing in the scramble. He's been fighting at a higher weight. But when he tends to start losing fights, he tends to get finished. He doesn't necessarily persevere through adversity. And the total on this fight is saying that it's expecting to go the distance, something that doesn't happen very often in Anthony Pettis fights. I'm actually going to lay under 2.5 rounds plus 155 Pettis Ferreira, thinking that Showtime either reverts back and gets a big finish here, or that Ferreira finishes Pettis.
I love the breakdown, man. That's good knowledge there. And the big plus price on the under for that one. So great stuff breaking down all these fights, Matty. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP. We'll kind of recap all the bets that Matt's placing on the card. He's, of course, the former COO at Cantor Gaming, the odds maker there for UFC. Follow him on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP. And, guys, we got a special coupon code here for sportsmemo.com. If you use the coupon code UFC at checkout for anything site-wide at sportsmemo.com, it will take $20 off. That's UFC at checkout, sportsmemo.com. Maddie, throw it back over to you, man. Do you mind just recapping the bets on the main card for UFC 246 right here in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Sure. So I took over 1.5 rounds plus 112, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Conor McGregor, plus 280 on Donald Cowboy Cerrone, as I think he's going to score an upset third-round knockout over Conor McGregor. I took Raquel Pennington plus 120 against Holm. The first time they fought, it was a split decision. I think Raquel ends up on the right side of that decision this time. I took under 1.5 rounds, minus 180 in the Maurice Greene Aleksei Oleinik fight. I think either way, that one ends early, either with an Oleinik finish or a Maurice Greene knockout. I took Cláudia Gadelha minus 115 as the better, well-rounded fighter who has fared better against top-level competition over Alexa Grasso. And I took Anthony Showtime Pettis and Diego Ferreira under 2.5 rounds, plus 160.
Oh man, great pod, Matty. UFC 246. We're all ready to go, man. This is going to be a fun Saturday night, man. I hope you enjoy it. And Matty, throw it over to you in terms of having the platform here, man. Anything you want to throw out to the watchers before we shut this down?
No, look, I mean, the UFC is going to have an amazing year this year. MMA betting's going really increasing. The amount of props that all these books are offering, and it still presents a great opportunity because it doesn't have that same liquidity yet as the NFL or some of these other markets. So you can still find real opportunities in it. I hope everyone has a great time this Saturday watching the fights, and good luck to everybody.
All right, guys, give him a follow on Twitter at Matthew Holt VP. And guys, remember to come back and check out the podcast. Tomorrow we will be breaking down the NFC and AFC championship games with Minty Bets. So come back and join us, sportsmemo.com. Matt, my buddy, hopefully see you on Saturday night. Thank you for the time, man. Best of luck with your bets. I'll be tailing on most of these. So enjoy the fights, Matty.
Thanks for having me on, Drew. Best of luck, my friend. Take care.
All right, best of luck to you. And best of luck out there, guys. Best of luck with your bets.